Welcome to NBA G League Ignite Takeover. I'm Mike Davis.
Yes, and I'm Gianna Hearn. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we're breaking down the latest draft projections from the top guys on Team Ignite. Plus, we're introducing you to young prospect Dink Pate and Thierry Darlan.
Yes, also funny man and vet Jeremy Pargo talks about his second act, but we start by recapping the past few games the team has played. So last week, the Ignite dropped 2 on the road against the Texas Legends and then lost another 2 on the road against the Windy City Bulls and the College Park Skyhawks. Now, bright spots against College Park were Gabe York, who continued his strong play with 22 points, and Matas Buzelis, who nearly had a triple-double with 15, 11, and 7, registering his 6th double-double of the year and dishing out a career high in assists with that 7. Now, Gianna, what do you make of Matas and his growth over the past, few months as a complete player?
When we talked to Matas at the beginning of the season, we got this confidence from him, but that didn't initially go onto the court. We're seeing him much more confident. Now he's taking the rock inside, he's taking contact. Not only that, he's handling the ball much better. So the way to create shots, take the initial contact that he's getting, he's doing that, which he wasn't doing earlier on in the season.
He's demonstrating just a complete ability across the floor. But let's also talk about this guy. I mean, Gabe York, the man continues to play big time, leading the charge for this squad. Is there any chance Gabe York is going to find his way back to the NBA with the way he's been playing? I
mean, the main knock against Gabe is how old he is. I mean, but he's still, like we said, has a 40-inch vert. So there's always a pathway back for him. I think what he needed to do was show that he can still shoot. He had some time off. He was sitting on the couch for 2 months before he came to Ignite. And he's come back and said, you know what, I can get a 40-piece. So I think I'm ready to be back in the NBA. So I think there's definitely a path back for him. It's just, does the team have a spot? What does it look like for him? But if he doesn't by the end of this year, next season, I think he'll have some better options.
Okay, so that's good news. Listen, you can't teach scoring. That's just one thing you got to be born with. Now, one missing piece is Ron Holland right now. The top prospect to kick off the season is done for the year with an injury. Gianna, give us kind of the complete update right now on Ron Holland and his status.
Ron had a soft tissue issue. That's hard to say sometimes, in his right thumb. And so they were debating whether or not to have him come back because this is a type of injury that takes a little longer to get better from. And the main thing for these guys is to get them drafted. So we want to protect Ron Holland. Ignite does. And so that's essentially what they're doing. He got the surgery and he was gone from Ignite for a little bit. He came back for one of their games because he was actually meeting 2 little girls who were part of the Henderson County reading program. And whoever read the most books got to meet Ron Holland, and they were so stoked for it. So he came back from his surgery just to meet these little girls. But right now he's on timeline to still be ready to do pre-draft workouts and be ready to see teams in person, which is the most important part of this whole process, is watching him throughout the season, then coming to the pre-draft workouts, coming to the interviews, and him being ready. So he's doing what he needs to do right now to make that happen.
All right. Okay, great update there. Now, as the season winds down, let's just revisit the current status of mock draft. So the most recent ESPN updated mock draft for the 2024 draft, it had Ignite prospects kind of all over the board, but they're shifting quite a bit from what we remember. So currently, Jonathan Givony and ESPN have Matas Buzelis going the highest at number 4 to the Charlotte Hornets. Then after that, Ron Holland has now fallen to number 10 to the Atlanta Hawks. And next up is big sharpshooter Tyler Smith. He's projected to go 19 to the Knicks. And wrapping up the first round, we got Denver Nuggets taking at 25th overall Ethan Almanza. So Gianna, the most surprising developments here for you. I know at the beginning of the season, on the first few episodes of Ignite Takeover, we had Ron going number 1. To see him to 10, is that the biggest apparent thing that you're kind of looking in closely there?
You want to take my shine there on my answer. No, of course, to me, that is the biggest thing because, yes, Ron was touted as the number 1 pick going into the season. But I think what's surprising about it is how far he's fallen to number 10. To me, that is pretty shocking because when you talk to scouts that come to Ignite's games, game in, game out, they come to the practices often, the scouts, I don't think, are saying he's dropped off that far. And it's not even really that he's dropped off because he's been able to showcase his skills. He's almost averaging 20 points per game in a professional league. Okay, so if you want to think about what he would have done in college, I don't want to think about it. I think he would have torn it up. So for him to be this productive in a professional league says so much about him. So it's shocking to me that he's fallen that far.
So it's not as alarming to you as it might be to some other people. Now, is there anything else that these players, these prospects can really do at this point in time in the season to alter their draft stock when it comes to scouts and executives? Or when you kind of look at the gameplay that has gone on so far, they're kind of at where they're at?
Scouts and teams in general, they're not just looking for what they can do on the court. That's obviously the most important thing, but they want to see, is this a well-rounded player? What are their families like? They're going to be doing these interviews I mentioned earlier. They're going to talk to their families. They're going to talk to them in person. Because think about it. Right now, scouts and teams have not been able to physically talk to the players. Now when it comes time for interviews and after the season is done, like for college, they can now touch, feel, talk to these players. So that is actually one of the most important parts. The combine is huge because right after their seasons, they're going to start training again, and then they have combine. So it's like, their seasons are important, but they're ramping up for what the big things are.
Okay, so demeanor and all that off-the-court stuff is now going to take the forefront after the chunk of the season is really done with. But now we have to talk about one guy who still has much to prove. Yes, that is Thierry Darlan, a lanky combo guard with handles and great vision. It's easy to get excited about Darlan. Let's learn some more about the 20-year-old from NBA Academy.
Here's Darlan attacking in the jam. Oh, Darlan!
Growing up, Bangui in Central Africa, right?
Yeah.
You have a family. A lot of your family played basketball. Tell us, as a youngster, as a young kid, how you took to the game of basketball and what your family taught you about basketball.
Oh, for us, the basketball is like a very important. It's like a religion in my family because since my grandfather and my uncle and my dad, they start to play basketball. And for me, it's normal, it's come natural for me to play basketball. It was an amazing experience, yeah.
And tell us, along with Sane, your teammate, you played in, NBA Academy Africa. For those at home, can you tell us, what is NBA Academy Africa like? What did you learn there? How did your game and how did you grow as a person overall?
Over there, first of all, I want to thank them because they help us a lot to become a man and basketball player too, because they teach us how to be, grateful every time. And also they help us, to grow in the game, learn, and always be a student of the game, yeah.
And, so you go to high school there, and obviously you start getting offers from places like Kansas and Arizona and all these top-tier programs. Why did you choose Ignite?
Oh, that's a good question. I choose Ignite because it's a decision between me and my family. And also I choose Ignite because they have a good program for me, to grow as a player and as a man too.
And what have you learned so far from your time being a member of this team with Ignite? What have you learned from Coach Hart? What have you learned from the coaching staff?
Oh, I learned a lot. They teach us about too many different things, on the court and off the court too. And Coach Hart is like very cool guys, he have a lot of experience and he tried to teach us to be like a tough and smart player too.
And what about from your teammates, your peers? I mean, there's a lot of, because there's this interesting dynamic, right? Because you got some guys who are like 32, 37 on the team who are these older veterans, and then you got a lot of young guys like you.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like to have that wide range on the team?
No, that's very cool. It's very cool experience, to have a lot of prospect and vet in the team, and the prospect guys that are very funny, smart, they very smart.
Who's the funniest?
The funniest is is Dink. Dink is like very funny.
Dink Pate.
Yeah, Dink Pate. Yeah, Dink is very funny. Yeah, that's the guy who's. But he's still cool for us, yeah. He
does a lot of pranks. You probably can't even tell us half the stuff he does.
Yeah, that guy has a mouth. Talk too much. He's like very funny. Yeah.
3 ball goes down for Darlan.
He's got a mouth. That's what Darlan has to say about that guy. Dink Pate. Coming up, we're talking about the bright young gun who's having one hell of a second half. We got all the highlights on the guy you need to know, Dink Pate, after the break. Well, Dink Pate is considered the funniest man on the team, but there's nothing funny about this young man's game. the 5-star prospect out of high school is the prototype when it comes to the 2-guard position at 6'8" shooting guard who can slash and shoot. And he seems to just be getting better and better every time he hits the floor. So Gianna, what have you seen from Pate and his growth throughout the second half of the season?
I mean, he really didn't get an opportunity the first half of the season. So this is really his first half of the season because he had that injury. But he's had, in the last 5 games, last 6 games, 7 assists per game.
Wow.
So when you want to see someone leading the team, being a floor general, he can do that at 17 years old. Whenever you talk to anyone, almost anyone, he is one of the most exciting prospects we've ever had at Ignite, and they're saying that he could be the best prospect in terms of where he's drafted and what he can do, his ceiling, in the future. So I'm really excited to see. He's only been with us for 1 year, only played half a season.
Right.
What is he going to do next season?
So it's one of those things that are similar, to Scoot, because we're going to be able to see how he builds off season 1 into season 2.
And what we saw with Scoot was the confidence change. He always had the motor. And Dink Pate has that same thing, they're saying. So I think it's someone that you need to pay attention to. We say that about everyone, but Dink Pate, some people have told me he could be a generational talent.
Oh my God. All right, see, that's big time stuff. And when you interact with the guy, you're just like, wow, this guy's like 17 going on 65. He's got some swag to him. All right, so we're excited to see what he builds on next time in the second season. But we still can't get enough of All-Star Weekend. Yes.
In this Inside Edition, Inside the Pro Lab, we're giving you a behind-the-scene look from All-Star Weekend. Take a look.
All-Star was just a good platform just to show I could match up with those guys, like guard them and stuff like that. So, I mean, the vibes was good. I never seen snow fall before. I only seen like ice storms and stuff, so, I mean, it was cool.
All comes out. Big shot there by Vassell.
They needed that.
Oh, big block there by Almanza. Dropped off Tyler Smith. He's sliding on Brandon. Turnaround fadeaway good. Matas Vazelis, the game winner and the shocker of the Rising Stars as Team Deadly Shrimp knocks off Team Pau Gasol. Bye-bye, Wemby. What a win.
I told you have to use the mid-range. You can't go in there for him on layups and you can't shoot a 3.
Right here, you say, get here.
It was good seeing him, seeing how he developed over the course of the year with his team. I mean, yeah, we was all together in like same groups on the bus and stuff. So, like, it was cool.
Get there, you gotta prove something. You gotta show people what you can do.
It was a good experience. Got to see the All-Star game and play in it. Yeah, I was asking some of the guys in the locker room just how the league is. Just getting some insight in it. Basically, they said I could play in the league next year. Like, I'm ready, basically, like stuff like that. So they was giving me confidence, stuff like that. Just telling me that you good, just keep doing what you're doing, keep hooping.
A lot of dunks, a lot of threes.
Things to say about me, right?
Huh?
I say he gotta have nothing but good things to say about me, right?
How you feel about this young prospect, though?
I was talking to him a little bit. He's nice, left-handed, can handle it, shoot. And he's young. Future is in his own hands.
Watching the NBA G League. Up next game, we've got an exciting new format as well.
First team to 30 points wins.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play. I learned if I'm confident, I can do whatever.
I can do anything I can be.
It definitely helped my stock because coming from overtime gave me the platform here.
Buzelis.
Yeah, Modest said, this is my game. I'm trying to put on right now.
MVP was saying, Queen, me and him had a little talk on the bench. It was like we were talking about like work ethic, being on the gym every day, get better.
Well, did you know Jeremy Pargo has a passion for acting? Sure, he has a flair for dramatics on the court, but now this point guard might just have a second act in his future. After the break, we sit down with Mr. Pargo.
Well, he's a supporting character on this squad who might have a supporting actor Oscar in his future. He's got the personality and the shot.
Oh, definitely. Jeremy Pargo might be the oldest member on the team, but that experience has only made him more valuable to the Ignite. Let's learn some more about the fascinating Jeremy Pargo.
Pargo, the three-pointer, puts his team back in front.
The first thing you just told me, Jeremy, is you said you're an overbearing personality. You're a lot to handle. What does that mean?
I don't have a filter, I guess you could say.
I like that. That's good for interviews.
I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to say how I feel, and you either take it or you don't.
Now, let's be real. You are the oldest player, I think, on the team, right?
By far.
37 years old.
By
You look
far.
very young, though.
I don't know
You got a
about
good
that
skincare regimen or something going on.
I just wake up.
You do? That's okay. But see, you are the oldest player on the team. Is that something, the no filter, that being that vocal, is that something that comes with age, or were you always like this? Was Jeremy Pargo like this as a youngster?
As a youngster, I don't know if I was like this as a youngster. I'm probably like this now because I wasn't like this as a youngster. I wish I was a little more vocal in terms of the way I felt about things, but you know, it comes with age where you have to get your point across, and sometimes you can't be sensitive to everyone's feelings at all times. But most of the time, I'm joking, having a good time.
Skips it to Pargo. Catch and shoot three. Oh, he knew it was down.
Being a veteran on this team and seeing, your role as a leader, and not only just about winning, because you've had so much success overseas. I mean, let's just talk about this. I mean, you've really killed it in the Euro League.
I appreciate it.
You're like one of the guys who are just had a phenomenal success overseas, but you've played in China, Israel, Italy,
it's
Russia,
a long
Spain.
list.
I mean,
Yes.
and then even just from, the Cavs, the Sixers, the Grizzlies, all over. Even back in 2017, 2018, you played with the Santa Cruz Warriors, and you're like first stint with them. How much has the G League itself evolved from the Santa Cruz Warriors in that first time around to now what you're seeing with the Ignite?
One thing about the G League is I don't think the G League gets enough respect. It's a lot of guys in the G League that can really play this game we call basketball. Really play.
And in transition, man. Look, I think this kid could be somebody.
How would your career, have you ever thought about this? How would your career be different if you're coming out of high school and instead of going to Gonzaga, you had something like this?
I think about that on a daily basis.
You do?
Too much.
And what would be different?
A lot.
In what ways?
I don't know, but a lot.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you think a lot of these guys who have these 5-star prospects who have so much promise, they're so talented, they have so much, with social media, everything's completely different. You said you were like 20 years ago, I could say. So it's a different world. Completely. But do these guys have a better ability to take, are they more amenable to veteran insight and coaching and understanding than you think previous generations were? Or just because you have to, like a guy like Scoot, from what I understand, he had such a maturity about the way he was approaching the game of basketball that it's totally different. Do these youngsters on the team right now, do you feel that they approach the game the same way?
I think every player is different. I'll use myself as the example.
Yeah.
Me playing overseas for years, it would be times where I come into practice, I'm an upbeat personality. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm having fun while playing basketball. But it's been times where people have said, I don't think you're taking it serious. That's not true at all. I just can enjoy what I'm doing while being serious. So everyone's different. Scoot is a more serious personality from what I've been told. I don't know Scoot. Everything I know is that let's get it done. This is the way it is. And me, I'm more of I'm gonna get it done, but I'm gonna smile while doing it, I guess you can say. So it varies from player to player. People are different. And that's one thing we don't need to lock ourselves into, is thinking everyone has to get to the same goal the same way.
Passes it up for Pargo for three. Cha-ching.
He just has such a great energy. Gianna, how valuable is he to this team and organization?
Some people might watch their games and say, he doesn't play that much. but he is so much more valuable in other areas. They call him coach. Even the coach called him coach when he started on this team because of what he has to give to the guys. And if you see anyone pulling the guys during the game, outside of the game, in the locker room, like, he's just a very direct veteran, which is what these young guys need, because when they go to the next level, they're not going to have someone to do that for them. So having someone now to say, hey, like, let me help you slow the game down right now, is a benefit that they won't have going forward. So they're very lucky to have someone like Pargo.
All right, I love that. Guys, don't go away. There's more Ignite Takeover coming up right after a short break. Well, now it's time for Stormwatch. Here's a look at the Ignite's next 4 games. They're in Santa Cruz to take on the Warriors March 15th and 16th. Then the team returns home to face the Stars. Gianna, Ignite has struggled to find the win column all season long. What needs to happen for the Ignite to finish the season on a high note?
I think we got to define what a high note is, and if that is wins, that's going to be probably a little challenging for them because they're still dealing now with John Jenkins out to injury. Mika has not come back from injury. Ron is out with injury. So now finishing on a high note is making sure that the guys that they have, like we've been saying, they have growth. So Modest Buzelis, when it's game time, you got to make that last game winner. Can you do it again? He's got to show he's going to be the guy, that he has the confidence. You want to see Ethan Almanza, him changing and him having a better IQ and showing all the things he can do. So winning this season on a high note would be all of them showcasing we are those guys. We should be way higher in those mock drafts, and then that actually happening.
All right, I love that. And don't forget, you guys can actually buy single game tickets to watch the Ignite play right here in Henderson at the Dollar Loan Center. All you have to do is visit ignite.gleague.nba.com/single game tickets. You can also find the QR code on the corner of your screen at some point, and you'll be able to see that. And if you can't make it in person, the Ignite's next game on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network is Friday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. You can watch that on channel 5.2 over the air and Cox Cable channel 125. That's it from us on G League Ignite Takeover. Let's hope we get some of those wins. We want that high note.
We need a lot of wins.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see you guys.